Brothers and sisters in the Dharma, may you all be well, happy, and peaceful. We are going to have a presentation in English for the narration based on a sutta or discourse by the Buddha, which pertains to outcasts. The title of the presentation is Know Who an Outcast Is. Now, you know, outcast would mean like a pariah, somebody who is shunned by society or not accepted by society or a particular group. And you know of people those days who, consider people of other people of certain sicknesses as pariah, or people who are of lower caste, right? Like in India, you have the untouchables, they consider them as outcasts. So then the Buddha, explained who actually is truly an outcast. Now, this presentation has the text in English and Chinese. The Chinese is inserted based on Google Translate, so it may not be 100% accurate, but it gives you some idea of what the presentation is all about. The narration, of course, will be in English together with the explanation. Now, as usual, we will launch the PowerPoint, and the PowerPoint will be shown shortly. So let us now look at the PowerPoint. You see a very colorful, or dark, I would say, of the title slide. And this title slide gives you the title in English as well as in Chinese. And I have phrased it as Know Who an Outcast Is. And it's a very important Dharma teaching because it will guide us to the correct way of judging or finding out who is a person who should be avoided or shunned, an undesirable person, you can say. So now let us go on to the second slide now. This is the second slide. And firstly, we remind you of the meaning of outcast, a person not accepted by society or a particular group. And, sometimes people call this is a pariah, a low caste one. So, society or groups of people shun them, look down upon them, abuse them. All these pertain to outcasts. But it's said that people treat others as outcasts based on wrong reasons. Like a person who is sick or a person who is born in an unfortunate surroundings. These are not outcasts. Now, let us now look at the true meaning of outcast. Now, let us go on to slide number 3 now. This is 3. Slide number 3. Now, this presentation is actually based on a discourse, or what we call a sutta, given by the Buddha, and it is from Sutta Nipata, one of the collections which actually is in the Kundaka Nikaya, and it is titled Vasala Sutta. And in this sutta, the Buddha explains or gives this very good teaching about what actually are outcasts, or what is a true outcast. So that we'll be clear in our mind. It's very, very good teaching actually. Now, of course, it's a beautiful picture of the Buddha giving the Dhamma talk to many, hundreds of monks, and perhaps also some lay people sitting at the back and so on. Now, let us go on to slide number 4. Now let's look at the first of the various slides that show what an outcast is. Whosoever is angry, harbors hatred, and is reluctant to speak well of others, discredits the good of others, perverted in views, deceitful, know him as an outcast. Now, you see, this contains very important Dharma points. Now, the Buddha talks about an angry person or a hateful person, right? Angry person, very hot temper, and then the person full of hate towards other people, and always not, willing to speak or to praise other people who deceive, who are deserving, so very reluctant to speak well, Such people don't speak good things about other people. They are so egoistic. They may they may be jealous of other people. And the worst thing is, these people, speak bad about other people. People, there are good people who do good. But instead of praising these people for their good doings, they talk bad about the things they do. They say, this person, you think he's doing good? Actually, he wants name, he's very egoistic, and he has cheated people and used the money, has used the money to go and do some charity. So this is discrediting, becomes very cynical. The other point is perverted in views. Actually, wrong views. Wrong views, like for example, the person doesn't believe in karma, doesn't believe that after death, there is still rebirth, right? So such people with these dangerous views of not believing in karma and also in rebirth, so they will do all sorts of things, right? Unwholesome things, because they say, after I die, there's nothing left, so I might as well do whatever I want. Now, that's dangerous, isn't it? And deceitful, cheating people, telling lies. Now we hear of so many people who scam, right? Who swindle people. This is deceiving. So this type of person or persons of this character, of this misconduct, are outcasts. They should be shunned. And they will be actually looked down by people who are wise. They will be fools to be avoided. And of course, in each of the slides, you have pictures to show the meaning, to illustrate the meaning of a person, who has wrong views or who has hatred, a person who has hatred like this, anger and so on. Anyway, you can look at the picture later on yourself. Now let us go on to slide number 5 now. Right? Is it? Yeah, it's number 5. Now, slide number 5. Whosoever in this world kills living beings, once born or twice born, in whom there is no sympathy for living beings, know him as an outcast. This pertains to the very important moral precept of no killing. There are people, who in their lives do a lot of killing, like hunting, or even, killing off the enemies for personal gain, or murdering people, right? Or today you have also terrorists, killing so many people because of perverted views. These are the outcasts. So, our precept, the first precept is no killing. And here you see there's a very interesting thing of the phrase once born or twice born. Now, what is the meaning? Now, you find that there are living beings that are considered once born and some considered twice born. Right? Like say twice born, like a chicken, right? So once the egg is fertilized, then the being is inside already. So there is once born. But once the egg is laid out and hatched, and the chicken comes out, then it's the second time born. Right? So that is the meaning. But there are some, like for example, devas, right? They are once born, which means that they spontaneously appear. So and then, of course, you have many twice born, like snakes lay eggs, and then also fishes, right? But beings like hungry ghosts, they are once born. They, get reborn immediately after that, over a certain period of time, or even immediately born as a ghost or as a hell being that is once born. So such if the person kills these types of beings, whether once born or twice born, it shows that such a person does not have compassion, no metta, no sympathy, no compassion. This type of person who is doing an unwholesome action is considered immoral. So he should be known as an outcast, right? Not because he's born poor, no, but because he's a killer. So this is slide number 5. So now we are going to the next slide, which is number 6 now. Slide number 6. Whoever destroys and besieges villages and hamlets and become notorious as an oppressor, know him as an outcast. This also has the elements of, killing and also causing trouble, hardship, torturing others. This is in this point about being an outcast. Now, anyone who destroys and besieges. Now, the word besiege means to surround maybe a village or a hamlet. A hamlet is a small settlement, smaller than a village. There are people living in these hamlets, small clusters of houses, right? Or kampong. So there are some bad people, very, very well known, notorious, well known for causing people hardship and then giving trouble to people. They actually want to conquer and have control over them and give them terrible suffering. Like in history, you have heard of, dictators who oppress, who press down the people until their lives become so very, very difficult and full of suffering. This is an oppressor. So such people like dictators or people, who always like to bully or control other people and give them trouble, these are the oppressors. So such people should be considered as outcasts. That means they would not be accepted by a society or a group. And of course, you will find that all these outcasts actually are generating bad karma, right? Unwholesome karma through their wrong actions, either in terms of speech or in terms of bodily action, or even in terms of mind, like always having an angry mind state or hateful or jealous or covetous and so on, which will translate into wrong bodily actions or wrong speech. So you see that all these have connection with the unwholesome things. But then there are such people who do these sort of things will be considered outcasts. Now, this is a very good picture to show what an oppressor is, and one or a group of people like, certain terrorists or certain dictators, go to conquer. Actually, they besiege a village because they want to conquer this place and then take advantage of the people and cause their life to be miserable. That is this notorious oppressor. Now let us go on to slide number 7. Now the slide number 7. Yeah, this is slide number 7. be it in the village or in the forest, whosoever steals what belongs to others, what is not given to him, know him as an outcast. Now, this actually, of course, pertains to the second moral precept of stealing or taking what is not given. This we know is a wrongful action, isn't it? To steal or take what is not given to you, to rob, and so on. And this sort of people, right, should be known as an outcast. And in fact, when people, know of them, they wouldn't like them, isn't it? Right? And the law also can catch up on them and put them into jail. So these are the people that would not be accepted by a society or a community. And every nation's laws also have this point of not allowing stealing, robbing, right? Or burgling. So this is the important point about not stealing. If you steal, then you should be known as an outcast. So that is slide number 7. Now let us move on to slide number 8. Now we have slide number 8. Whosoever having actually incurred a debt, runs away when he is pressed to pay, saying, I owe no debt to you, this type of person should be known as an outcast. Now, this is a very, very common situation even today, you have heard of cases who are in the habit of gambling, and then after that, they run out of money and they take loans, sometimes loans from their family members or their relatives, and the worst thing, from the alongs. And then they cannot pay back. And then they borrow again. And then some are dishonest, Like, for example, there are people who borrow from, let's say, their relatives and so on, and say, no, after they deny and forget about it completely. Now, that is considered not good. So such a person should be known as an outcast. That means he is not honest, and he can lie and cheat. And in the case of Along, right, if he, doesn't have the means to pay back, right, but he denies that he is owing, right, and then you see that the wrong action will have the consequence quite fast. The Along will go after him, and the worst thing, the Along goes after the family members, and the family members suffer because of this foolish person taking loans foolishly and then not being able to pay back or denying the thing. So this type of person is an outcast, right? So this actually pertains to the precept of lying, right? Not telling the truth. So that is also not a wholesome action. You can see the picture here. That is relevant. Now let us go on to slide number 9 now. Now this is slide number 9, yes. Whosoever coveting anything kills a person going along the road and grabs whatever that person has, know him as an outcast. Wow, even today you see this, right? Coveting means a very, very strong greed and desire, which is a wrongful action. So some people, have this great greed and desire for other people's possessions and money. And worst thing, also you have people who covet other people's wives or husbands. They are so greedy or so lustful for other people's husbands and wives, so they can do anything. You can imagine to take possession of that person that the fella wants, and you can to the extent of killing. I think you have heard of cases who kill somebody else. And he's saying going along the road, not necessarily along the road only, He can be at any position. He can even hire people to kill off this fella because he wants the wife, you see. Or sometimes they covered people's money, right? They want the money, like kidnappers, for example, right? And they can kill off the victim of the person who uh, is kidnapped, or they can kill off a person whom the fella is robbing from. That also is a wrongful action. So you find got two breaking of the precepts, two precepts broken. One is taking what is not given to you, right? Having very strong greed, and then the other is killing. This sort of person should be known as an outcast. Here you can see the picture very, very clearly. This terrible, maybe robber or a very bad person coming to this car, stopping the car, and then kill off the person. Of course, the wife is so shocked and sad because he wants certain things from him, you see. Maybe to rob his briefcase that contains important things like a lot of foreign currency and so on. So this picture actually tells a lot. Now, let us go on to number 10 now. Now, number 10, he who for his own sake or for the sake of others or for the sake of wealth utters lies when questioned as a witness, know him as an outcast. Of course, here the thing is mentioned about being a witness in a court of justice, right? A witness who lies, and that is terrible. Lying or not telling the truth is a break of the fourth precept, the fourth precept, lying. And actually, this person who lies, because he wants to benefit himself or maybe his family members or his friends, or maybe to protect the thing that he has stolen, the wealth. So when he is being questioned in court, he tells all the lies for selfish reasons, for their own good or for their family's good or other friends' good. And this type of person should be known as an outcast, right? Actually, it's not only in the case of a court. In the general way, anybody who lies, after that he will cheat other people. For he's selfish, for his own sake. He lies because he wants to get something out of you, isn't it? Or maybe wants to, benefit the family lah. Today you hear so many cases, corruption charges and so on. Two parties, contradicting. One party must be lying, you see. The one later on you find, once people know that he is lying and he's sentenced to court or so on, then he will be considered an outcast. People will not think well of him, isn't it? Now let us go on to slide number 11 now. Yes. Whosoever by force or with consent associates with the wives of relatives or friends, know him as an outcast. Now, this is very clear. It pertains to the third precept of sexual misconduct, committing adultery, right? By force or with consent, right? So sometimes, such people, lustful people, scoundrels, who force themselves on the wives of other people, maybe relatives or friends, or even people who are not friends also, because they want the wives of these people. So there's a terrible action, isn't it? Because you cause suffering to the family members. When you commit adultery, maybe, the family would break down. There will be a divorce case. A lot of divorces take place because of adultery, right? The wife or the husband not faithful to the spouse, and then, commits the zina or the adultery. So that's why you have this third precept of sexual misconduct, and the most important point is the adultery. Of course, also, you can also think of whoever, by force, Like say rape another person or molest another person. That also is terrible, isn't it? So he should also be considered as an outcast, a rapist, for example. It's not mentioned here, but it's connected in a way, all right? And that I would say constitutes also a sexual misconduct. You go and rape another person. Like say a man goes to rape another person's wife or even a young girl and so on. So that definitely is an unwholesome action, isn't it? It causes suffering to that girl or that woman and also to the family. So that is also unwholesome, and such a person should be considered as an outcast. He will be considered as an outcast. When people know, this person, molester, rapist, all right, or a serial killer of women, or things like that. So people also will shun him, will look down upon him, curse him, condemn him, isn't it? And these will be the true outcasts, not because the person is fake, not because he's born in the poor family, not because he is handicapped. This is not the outcast. But sad to say, society since the olden times also have used the wrong criteria for considering others as outcasts. Right? So, like for example, let us say that person is the son of a man who has committed some crimes, but he's not the son. So now they consider the son as an outcast also. That is also wrong, you see. You follow this through, you find out what are the correct ways to consider who the outcasts are. Now let us go on to number 12 now. Whosoever being wealthy supports not his father, does not support, it means does not support his mother and father who have grown old, know him as an outcast. And today you find a very common. You have children, filial, not filial at all. I've heard this Ajahn Dhammamulo telling about cases and then also other sources where the parents have 8 children, suffering to bring them up. But yet none of them would support the father and mother when they grow old, when they grew old. They chuck them into the old folks' home and never visit already. Very common. I have also relatives like that, right? So this is terrible. Not showing gratitude, not being filial, not carrying out their duties as dutiful, as responsible children to look after the old mother and father who look after them. So such people should be known as an outcast, right? And so, in fact, when people know of it, they don't think well of you, isn't it? They will try to avoid you and say, this person, yeah, how soon here, not filial at all, 没有这个照顾他的父母very very old already. So this is the outcast, and it's not that they are poor, but they spend their money, like these cases you find, they jolly lah. And some old parents leave the property and the money and so on with them because they think that they are growing old already, but they don't die yet, And these people make use of the money of the parents in wrong ways and then avoid the parents already. Actual cases occur, today even. So the Buddha talked about even those days. Until now, you still have people doing the wrong things in a similar way. So these sort of people should be considered an outcast. Know him as an outcast. So now let us go on to slide number 13 now. Whosoever strikes and annoys by harsh speech, mother, father, brother, sister, or mother-in-law or father-in-law, know him as an outcast. Of course, here, this one pertains to abusing or striking or beating even, or causing heartaches to other people who are related to him, parents or siblings or mother-in-law, father-in-law. I would say this one should be applied in general to all. Apart from family members and also relatives, you should also consider the friends and other people whom you associate with, your working colleagues, for example, right? Or maybe casual friends. So if you use terrible speech, harsh speech, which is a break of the precept, right? Using foul language and harsh speech that cause hurt to another person's heart, or worse still, bully. You have heard of road bullies, strike, and then curse and all those things. These are all unwholesome actions. Wrong speech, wrong action. Some even torture. So these are the outcasts, such people, and they will be shunned. They should be shunned by a society or community until they change their ways. So this is a very important point also, pertains to wrong, unwholesome action. Now let us go on to slide number 14 now. Yes, it's 14 already. This has quite a number of slides. Whosoever, when questioned about what is good, says what is detrimental, and talks in an evasive manner, know him as an outcast. This actually pertains to the wrong trait of dishonesty and deceit, or this being a deceitful person. Now, let us say, this picture shows very interesting. Maybe two people asking this person, maybe he's in charge of a forest or what, asking him for certain directions and so on. And he, out of heedlessness, or maybe he has some wrongful intentions, tell him or tell this couple the wrong way, and then the couple goes to that way and is full of danger, even shows wild animals. Or it could be a case where the person is in business, right? So when people come to buy and they ask him, oh, the goods, are the goods good or not? What about the expiry date and so on? And they bluff, right? They tell lies, though, right? And they say certain things which are dangerous, actually. They say the goods they are selling is good, but actually it can, bring them harm, Like maybe the food is already rotten and can cause sickness or disease, detrimental lah. And then they know how to, check up this and that, turn left and right, up and down they turn, and then try to cheat and convince others. These are the dishonest people who lie, right? And then who deceive, and these are the outcasts also. Again, it pertains to the moral precepts of cheating, lying, and then bringing harm to other people. So this is also an outcast, this type of person. I think here So instead of helping, you are telling something that causes harm to others. Some you find out, lie to such an extent. I think you don't have to go far. You look at the political scene. There are people, who actually tell lies, and then being questioned and say, why so much money, goes in your bank account? Oh, it gives all the reasons, evasive, oh, this one donated, and I use it to help the poor and so on, all lying and so on. But actually, it is cheating, not honest. And of course, it causes harm to others because you take the taxpayers' money, isn't it? There are so many who are suffering. So this also is a very good example of such a person should be known, and it will be known as an outcast. You have cases in Malaysia where some also have ended up in jails, you see. So now let us go on to number 15 now. Number 15. Whosoever, having committed an evil deed, wishes that it may not be known to others and commits evil in secret, know him as an outcast. Again, This refers to the people who commit evil deeds. And the evil deeds can be through the body, right? Or through the speech. And they do it secretly, Buat pandai-pandai, and the people don't know, but they don't realize that the moral law, the law of karma applies whether people know or don't know. If you have caused suffering or harm to other people in terms of your speech and body, or even in terms of your mind, because the mind states can lead on to the wrong speech, like anger, greed, and so on. So this one will have bad karmic consequences. So this is an outcast. And these people can be very dangerous because they have committed so many evil deeds and other people don't know, and others still trust them, Right? Like see, for example, this lady maybe goes to consult a fortune teller who has done many good deeds, but he is concealing all those secrets, just as this man also, don't know, selling all those sort of things and saying very, very good. But actually, he knows he has done certain bad things, and yet he continues his trade, his work and so on, and bluffing people and so on. In the his private lives, he has done a lot of evil also, you see. So these sort of people, once people come to know of it, of course, he will be shunned, avoided by society. So this is also a type of outcast. It's really an outcast. So you see, again, it pertains to wrongful action. So now, let us go on to the next one. Whosoever, having gone to another's house and partaken of choice food, does not honor that host by offering food when he repays the visit, and know him as an outcast. Now, of course, this example is a bit, you can say, well, it's a bit funny. And I mean, somebody, somebody goes to a friend's house, and then the friend gives him a lot of good food and so on, treats him and so on. But when the friend comes to visit him, he doesn't offer anything. Now, there are people like that, always depend on other people for free makan, treat and so on, but they themselves would not part with the money, or spending for he only knows how to receive, but not giving. I think the important principle is that person is a selfish person, right? He is always taking care of himself only. He doesn't consider other people, only his own interests, right? So this type of people should be considered outcasts, yes, because they are very, very selfish, and all the things that he does only for himself or his family members. And this, when people know, actually they also will shun him, automatic, will avoid him, because of the selfishness. And actually in the Buddhist scriptures, there are stories also of such people. Even in Dhammapada, I've also told about a few stories on this sort of thing. So that is number 16, already 16 already. So you can see, again, it tells you about the wrongful actions of people, and these people will be shunned, avoided in society or the community. Now let us go on to slide number 17 now, right? Number 17. Whosoever deceives by uttering lies, a Brahman or an ascetic or any other mendicant, know him as an outcast. Now, this pertains to cheating or lying to holy people. A Brahman, actually, in Brahmanism, you have also, religious holy people who want to lead the spiritual life, and they go out, leave the home, and now they have their family members all grown up already. And then they practice as a holy person, right? Some begging for food, and then also cultivating to develop the mind, or a person who has who practices asceticism. Maybe they lead a very hard life, very little food, no proper house to stay, and then, hardly any possessions, basic clothing only, and the food, no dwelling also, maybe staying in the cave and so on. So these are ascetics or other types of mendicants. Mendicants will be, or you can say, holy people who beg for their food, right? Like beggars lah. But they are not like beggars. They will just, the some of the monks go in the part of the monks you have seen, they will just stand there. You want to give, you give. You don't want to give, it's okay. Beggars will demand, put up their hands, put out their hands and ask. So this one is very important. Never deceive anybody. Worse still, if you deceive or you cheat an arahant, or a person who is walking the spiritual path, a very good cultivated person, this generates a lot of bad karma. I've also posted recently, or not yet posted yet, I think, a story about this sort of thing, cheating, or lying, or using the wrong speech, and so on, to a holy person. So this should be considered also an outcast, right? So that is slide number 17 already. Oh, is it number? No, no, sorry. Yeah, it's number 17. Uh, now let us go on to. Let us look at just now what was the previous one. Go to slide number 16. Number 16 just now I told you already, people were very selfish, wouldn't treat other people one. That is number 16. Now we have number 17. This 17 is cheating. Cheating whosoever deceives by uttering lies, telling lies one. So now we are going to number 18 already. Number 18 now. This also pertains to a holy person, a Brahman or an ascetic. Just now I explained the meaning already, right? A holy person who is cultivating, or an ascetic, also a spiritual person, and he lives a very hard life. Sometimes some even some also practice not so wise things like torturing their bodies and so on. But there's a certain form of ascetic practice in Buddhism called the Dutanga, where they lead also a very hard life, like wandering in the forest, having just maybe the bowl, and then just the basic robe, right? And then they sleep in caves and so on. And then many other Dutanga practice rules. The one is in Buddhism also. This is actually to let them realize certain things. Get out of their comfort zone. Then the mind can be more settled and wisdom can arise, insights. So these are the holy people again. So let's say that these people, right, appear during mealtime at the home, and he gets the scolding, right? So you see the picture very clearly, right? So this person coming for the food, so instead of getting the food or just ignore, he gets scolded angrily by the boss or the owner of the house or any family member. And that person not only showing anger, but he's using terrible speech, harsh speech, foul language, and of course you will not offer him, you chase him away. Wow, this one is really an unwholesome action. No compassion, no metta, and only think of he only thinks of the family and himself only. And he chased them away. He chased these holy people away. Not only them, scolding. I think even in Buddha's time, Buddha himself was once abused with all the terrible words when he went for Pindapat and stood outside the Brahmin's house, the rich caste people. And the Brahmin abused the Buddha with all those terrible words. The Buddha very, very calm. Right? He was not offended. He did not react. Then later on, he explained, if I don't accept all these things, if somebody visits you and you offer them some food or some other things and the person doesn't accept, what happens? I take back lah, the Brahmin said. Then the Buddha said, just now you said all those terrible things towards me. I don't accept them. You also have these things during Buddha's time. Today also you have that. Person seeing a monk on the road, the fellow is going to the Genting, then the fellow will curse already. Yeah, sorry already, I'm going to casino Genting, and now I encounter this monk. There are Chinese people who have that type of belief. But today I think less already. Now let us go on to number 19 now. All right. This is 19. Whosoever in this world shrouded in ignorance speaks harsh words. There's probably a Pali or Sanskrit term, asatam, or falsehood, expecting to gain something. Know him as an outcast. Now again, this pertains to speech again, unwholesome speech, This person, why he does that is because of ignorance, 无我啦, and is deluded, is ignorant, and he uses either harsh words or lying, right? Like for example, here you can see this man, maybe he got something to do with his the mango tree, right? So he's lying, and then also use harsh words, saying the mango, maybe the mango tree is just between the two houses or whatever lah. But anyway, because he is deluded, and then he has greed, very easily gets angry. So basically also he wants certain things to gain something. So to another party, he will lie, right? And then he will also scold or abuse or maybe generate fear in another person in order to get something that he wants, isn't it? Let's say you have in New York, let's say you walk around the streets and then you find a mugger, all right? A person, very fierce looking. When we went there once, New York, we see such characters. You walk in the street of New York, especially towards night already, you feel very uneasy because you find there'll be people like following you, So these mugger, they'll point a dagger at you, right? And then they can use harsh words, right? Rough words, giving you warning and so on. And then the mugger, they pretend to be very nice. They tell the lies. I have in great difficulty. My family members, two of them are very sick and all those stuff. Why? They want something that you give them the money and so on. So you have either the soft way or they use the terrible hard method to extort the money from you. So these sort of people are outcasts. Who would like them? Who would accept them into the society, isn't it? So that is definitely an outcast. Now let us go on to number 20 now. This is 20. Whosoever debased by his pride exalts himself and belittles others, know him as an outcast. Now you have this word debased. Now, when you say is debased, it will be basically like immoral, right? Corrupt conduct, right? The behaving maybe, not like a civilized person. So he will do immoral things, he's lustful, or, his character is very, very bad. And usually due to the ego also, because of the pride, so he can behave something like an animal, aggressive, and then also he doesn't follow proper moral conduct. So because he's so egoistic, he always thinks highly of himself. The picture you can see that may be very, very proud. Don't know, Raja or VIP sitting on the elephant at that time, not on the Mercedes, but on an elephant or a horse, beautifully decorated with all his servants and bodyguards and so on. So these are people who are very, very proud and ego, and he looks down upon other people. And also you can see he's so terrible, he asks his bodyguards or the soldiers or whatever to clear the path because he's coming. And then the poor man even tortured because the old man is trying to beg maybe. This type of person who because of the ego and then treats others so badly, thinks so lowly of other people. As in India, those days now, very, very, very little. They will look down upon the untouchables, right? The situations, circumstances for these untouchable people, the low caste people, they are considered like pariah, and then they are considered as outcasts. But today, the situation is so much better already. Maybe some still have that type of beliefs. So, this sort of person is an outcast. Right? Now let us go on to number 21. This is 21. Whosoever is given to anger, right? Whosoever is given to anger is miserly, has base desires, and is selfish, deceitful, shameless, and fearless in doing evil. Know him as an outcast. There are many points here. Very good Dharma teaching. Some are repeated, right? But let me explain a bit. Well, whosoever is given to anger, I've explained to you already, very hot temper, easily angered, hateful also, is miserly. The word miserly, very, very stingy. And then also very, very stingy, miserly, always thinks of himself only. He doesn't consider other people, has no compassion or sympathy or metta for other people, all right? And he has base desires, one very concrete example will be a very lustful person, right? He wants to have this beautiful girl, even though he's married. He has this lustful feelings. No, he wants to molest the other person. Oh no, some other unwholesome desires, like covetousness. He wants to get at the property of other people. All right. So that's the word I've explained already. And selfish, I've also explained. Deceitful, always wanting to cheat other people, not honest. I explained. Then another 2 points very interesting. Shameless and fearless. Now, in the Buddha's teaching, you have this the two Pali terms hiri utapa. That means we must be shameful and fearful of doing wrongful actions. That is the positive shame, If we have no shame of doing all the terrible, immoral, unwholesome actions, and we have no fear of doing those terrible things like killing innocent people or, torturing animals, we have no fear of doing that. That is terrible, isn't it? So that's why the Buddha talk about hiri otapa in the Pali. But you have people who are like that. They have no shame at all, married already and still molest other girls even in public and so on. And they are not afraid even to kill. Like, for example, hired killers. Right? People pay them, and because of money, they are not afraid of doing the evil action. These sort of people with all those traits or characteristics I have mentioned, this should be considered an outcast. Now, the pictures are very good because they show the various ways, maybe not complete, but you can see who the outcast is doing all sorts of things. Even looking at the pictures and reflecting, you can understand a lot of the Dharma. Now, let us go on to number 22 now. Whosoever reviles the enlightened one, the Buddha, or a disciple of the Buddha, recluse, or a householder, know him as an outcast. Now, the word revile, that means to criticize in abusive language, insulting manner, right? Criticize, condemn, and then, curse even. Wow, this is the word revile, and using abusive speech, very insulting and so on. And the worst is, of course, you revile the Buddha, enlightened one, or an arahant, or a very well-cultivated disciple of the Buddha, or a recluse. A recluse is actually a spiritual person, and he, is practicing the spiritual part. He likes to live alone and cultivate. He is a good person, spiritual person. You go and abuse a person and so on, and revile the person. It's terrible, bad karma, of course, you see. Now, you can see the picture very clearly here. In this case here, not the Buddha. The Buddha will be the one meditating with the halo in the picture. So this will be one of the disciples, right, of the Buddha. Holy person, but you see, so calm and serene, not reacting. But these people who do these things, reviling, generate very bad karma. And actually, I've also posted Dhammapada stories on this point, how a person suffers the bad karma because of wrong actions, like, treating the enlightened one in a very terrible manner. So that is slide number 22 already. So now let us go on to 23. Whosoever, not being an arahant, a consummate one, pretends to be so, is a thief in the whole universe. He is the lowest of outcasts. Now this is in the Vinaya, the monastic code. That means, you see, in the monastic code, the Sangha members not supposed to go and tell about their attainments. Oh, I'm, third stage already, nearing Arahant already, or I'm enlightened already. Because it will be actually not, it may be not true and misleading other people. Ego element is shown, and then other people will say, oh, how come you can become Arahant, I cannot? So it doesn't, so you should be practicing humility. So it's in the Vinaya lah. He's not an arahant. He's not the consummate, means the perfect one, right? The one who has done all his spiritual duties already, no longer to be reborn again. Perfect one, right? You can say consummate one, the perfect one. Arahant, right? But he pretends, And there are people like that even today. And you go to temples or certain, places in the forest, people who pretend to be very holy, have some psychic powers, and they pretend to be maybe, highly attained person, Maybe you say, are you claiming to be arahant, or he has this and that and all those things, but actually it's not, It's deluded. Actually, many cases, they pretend to be like that is basically want to cheat other people. As in the temples, even fake mediums pretending to be a person where the God is inside him to help and so on. All these are actually wrongful actions. Pretending and all those things, claiming all this. Is stated here the tip in the whole universe. In a sense, the karmic vipaka, right? That means the result, the consequence will be very, very serious. And here he says the lowest of the outcasts. You better avoid these sort of people. They can lead you astray and teach you the wrong dharma. So that is this very important point that you have to consider. So now we are coming to the end already, right? And we still have just a very limited time. And now we are going to slide number 24. Yes, this is slide 24. And this is a very important thing that sums up the whole thing. The Buddha, of course, during that time, the Brahmins, all these people, they had their old traditional beliefs, and they did not like what the Buddha taught, that went against their beliefs, bathing in the river Ganges to clear your sins away, and some very superstitious practices like offering, slaughtered animals, all this. They did that in India now. So the Buddha went against all those things. And then the Buddha said this: not by birth is one an outcast. Not by birth is one a Brahman. By deed, one becomes an outcast. By deed, one becomes a Brahman. A very, very important statement that summarizes the whole presentation. That you are not an outcast because you are born poor, you are born sickly, or you are born into a poor family, or you are born cacat, handicapped. Not because of that. And likewise, you are not because you're born into the high caste, maybe the priestly caste in India, they have that. It's not by that that you are, oh, I'm born into the holy family, right? So I'm a Brahman, a holy person, a priest caste, Buddha said, no. It's by deed alone. By deed that one becomes an outcast. By deed one becomes a Brahman. Very, very true. That if you do all the wrong deeds, the unwholesome deeds of the mind, the speech, and the body, then you are an outcast. On the other hand, you do all the heavenly deeds, the deeds of the gods, the wholesome actions, like practicing dana, observing all your precepts, and then developing your mind through the learning of Dharma and the meditation, then you really become a Brahman. You're a really holy spiritual person on the path to enlightenment. So this actually sums up the whole thing, right? Fantastic teaching, actually. It gets rid of all the superstitions, right? It's very clear already. But today, sad to say, people don't follow this. You see so many people doing the wrong things, hoping they will get certain things, right? Like, some Chinese practices, slaughtering poor animals to offer to the gods, or burning a lot of paper paraphernalia. They say they are very holy, because they always pray, all this, but they are actually committing unwholesome deeds, and they are not Brahmins. They are not the holy people or spiritual people. So this is the message. So now we come to the end, which is the last slide. Now you see a curtain opening up. This one, some very important Dhamma point. It's in the Mangala Sutta that the Buddha said, the discourse of blessings that the Buddha said, associate not with fools. Do not associate with fools. Fools would not mean that you are not clever, you cannot go to university. No. Fools basically are those with no knowledge of the Dhamma, who do not want to learn the Dhamma. But still, they don't, of course, they no knowledge of the Dhamma, they don't practice the Dhamma. So they have wrong views, you see. And if you associate with such people, they can lead you astray to follow their ways, right? And they have all the crooked ways to lure you away. And the crooked ways will involve committing unwholesome actions. And they are the outcasts, isn't it? And these unwholesome actions will lead to much dukkha, suffering. So this is the last slide with the message that is very important. So we come to end of this long presentation. I hope you have benefited from this important sutta, the sutta on the outcast. So before we say sadhu 3 times, I would like to thank brothers and sisters in the Dhamma and all people who happen to follow this presentation. I say thank you and sadhu to all of you for taking time and putting your effort to follow this presentation to the end. And also, I say sadhu to you for being very mindful, concentrated, and focused. Right. So now we say sadhu together. Let us put our palms together and say sadhu 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, may you all be well, happy, and peaceful. And may the Dhamma grow in all of you. Take care.